Hi, good morning. Welcome to a new season of ET Retail Cafe by ET Retail. We are back with season 2. We are trying to make each and every episode and season exciting for you. And to start it on a wonderful note, we have with us the OG of retail, Kishore Biyani. So a very warm welcome to ET Retail Cafe. I want to understand from you how your journey in retail started. Were you always inquisitive about retail, consumer products, and how to sell them to the consumers? Or it happened by chance? What was the journey for you?
I think it was not a planned journey. So we were a product of liberalization in India. When it opened up since 1992, we came into business after that. And we were seeing a lot of things changing around us, the way consumers were changing, way the consumption was happening, the retail space was getting created. And the clothing industry was just getting developed. There were brands getting built. And that's how I started, by supplying fabric to the clothing industry, learning about the clothing business, building your own brand, building your own retail formats. And that journey kept on happening and trying to understand India in its own ways. And we have been part of the consumption story of India since then. So and a lot has changed.
You are known for building consumer brands. So how do you see the consumer of then and now has changed? What are the starking differences? And how can actually brands understand the developing psyche of the consumers and build brands as per them?
It's very, very different from when it started. I think when the consumption just began, it was a family going out. And it was family shopping. The frequency of shopping was much lesser. It was Holi, Diwali, or twice a year, thrice a year. Today, if you look at things today, I think it's very different. Family as a unit doesn't shop together as much. There are individuals shopping on their own. People are shopping through the internet. People are shopping multiple times. I would say clothing, I think people shop more than 9 to 12 times a year now. They visit the malls very differently. Earlier, the malls was the only public space where you could go, maybe some years ago.
Yeah.
Now things have changed. Even the visit to the malls are not as frequent as what it used to be. So things are evolving, and as we speak, I think things are changing. There are new brands getting built for the newer generation. The way of communication has changed. Mass advertising used to play a big role. Since then, I remember the newspaper ads and the television ads which we used to make. I think things have changed since then. Now I believe it's one-on-one. Again, social media's importance and role has increased so much that to build a brand again in mass media is very, very difficult. So things, I would say, from there to now is very different.
So consumers have become demanding now?
Consumers were demanding then because they didn't have so much of money. Consumers are demanding now also because they are consuming much, much more than what they used to consume. So consumers always want the best. They want value out of everything, and the perception of value is kept on changing.
Like that India 1, India 2 at that point of time. Now we can divide India into different parts because the consumption at different parts of India is different. So does that impact when someone is building their brand, or how is it shaping the retail industry that way?
I think everybody consumes. In our theory of India 1, India 2, India 3, India 1 consumes a lot in terms of number of items, number of SKUs in their lifetime. India 2 consumes much lesser than India 1, and India 3 consumes much lesser than India 2. And how much of value-added consumption is done is majorly done by India 1. That's the way we look at it. So the larger market where branded consumption happens, where value-added consumption happens, is to India 1. India 2 is also learning to consume much, much more than what they used to consume now. The newer generation of India 2 is getting into a interesting consumption mode. They don't believe in savings as much than what their parents used to do. India 1 has got too much of money now, and they are very well aware. They read the packs of the packaging to everything. So consumers have evolved, and I believe it's a change which is going to be much, much more rapid than it ever was.
When we talk about the retail industry, how is India different from other global counterparts? Because there are lots of brands which are entering India now. They're testing markets, they're succeeding here. And there are brands which are built from here in India and they are going global. So has India become at par with the global market, or is India still lying somewhere in between and trying to be there?
I think India, in terms of consumption, our per capita income is not as high as what the developed worlds are. So the consumption are different. But if you look at the top 10% of India, I think they are as good as anywhere else in the world, and they consume very similarly to what the global consumption is happening. I think the quick commerce wave in India is probably the only thing which is there in India, not there in any part of the world, where you get in 10 minutes everything. Internet commerce has also penetrated. The number of D2C brands which has come in India again has been quite interesting. Retail formats have come in and evolved. So you can't compare the consumption of the world to India's consumption in that sense, because India is a huge country. India is a country of, we are nearly 18% of the world's population and less than 3% of the land mass. We are nearly 1.4 billion people, and we are learning to consume and learning to lead a better life. So it's a journey which has started, and something we are leapfrogging and something we are lagging behind.
So when you say retail formats have changed, so how have you seen the retail formats changing? What are the future formats that we can expect here in India?
I think we are going to see more and more experiential formats, wherein you have to create experiences for people to come into your store. Otherwise, normal functional shopping can happen through internet commerce. So wherever there is an expensive item, wherever there is an experience which can be created, wherever a story can be told differently, I think the physical format will play a role. And otherwise, the day-to-day shopping, what you know, what you want, can be done through internet.
So there used to be a format when there used to be like small shops, then big hypermarket, supermarket, and now experience has taken over the stage. So what do you think the consumer, why do they want such experience? Why are the expectations changing? Are they well traveled? This is the reason. Are they exploring the things outside India? What is influencing them actually?
But actually, if you see something, you want something better than that. If you after that you see that, you want something much beyond that. So India has been experiencing a lot of malls, a lot of new formats. People are traveling also, and people are seeing that in the content in which they are consuming. So people are very aware now. People are aware of every global trend which is happening, and people want that.
And when you say talk about the new age brands, D2C brands, we have seen a wave of new age brands entering Indian market, established lots of players trying their hands to build niche products for the consumers. But what I've seen that there used to be a time when there were like established brands, legacy brands. They used to think about profitability, sustainability, building the business for generations. Now, when we talk about the new age brands, they want to disrupt the market, maybe through marketing or some other strategies. What do you think is the right way for a brand to grow in today's scenario?
I think it's disruption now. Earlier, people had that patience. I think our patience levels have reduced a lot. The time taken, the investors' mindset. Today, most of the businesses are funded by investors, and they have a time frame in which you have to perform and you have to reach a certain level. So the time as a factor is a limited time. You don't get much more time than what we used to get earlier. So I think disruption is the only way to grow the market. And most of the brands who have been the new age brands have disrupted something or the other. So disruption is one way, and the other way is to build a brand, believe it slowly and steadily, grow your customer base. So there are ways and means of building a brand and building a category. But I believe a lot of new age players have disrupted a category and entered that category through disruption.
Can we attribute technology as one of the reasons which has actually helped these brands to reach the consumers at the right pace?
Absolutely. Today, social media or technology or the kind of data which you generate is helping you to take every decision for the brand, for the consumer, for the market, building customer cohorts, talking to them. So there are new technologies which are emerging every day, and we are yet to use the latest of technology, which is the AI, to talk to our consumers, to communicate and to use it to tell a story or acquire a customer.
How do you think AI is going to be a game changer for the retail industry?
I believe we'll see much and much more adoption of AI. The models of retail will again evolve. I imagine a supermarket wherein AI can calculate exactly what is your consumption at your home, and why should you buy in a package. You will buy it in loose form. You can get exactly what you want. So a lot of things can emerge. And with AI, I think the decision making will be very different, because the decisions and the data which you'll be working on, and everybody will be having that access to it. So you have to differentiate in terms of how you interpret that data and how you use that data to do business better.
So when you say you see more retail formats coming into the foray, so what sort of retail formats can we see in the future?
I think we are yet to see the play of AI in the consumption space, but I believe it will be a game changer.
Okay. So when we talk about the new age brands, you are consulting a lot of new age brands these days.
I'm mentoring a lot of
Mentoring
brands,
them.
yeah.
So when you mentor them, what three main things you tell them that if you have to build a business for the future, these three things you have to keep in your mind?
No, we work on the brand, we look at the consumer, and we look at the channel of distribution, and we look at what is the story or what is the communication. So these four things, we work with the founder or the entrepreneur to make them aware of all these things and to use them effectively to build his business.
Can you explain this in more depth? I'm
I
not
think-
saying
I
give
think
an
one
example
is-
of a brand,
One
but
is the brand.
yeah.
How to build a brand, because brand is what brand emotes, brand speaks, brands talk, and brands have a longevity.
Yeah.
So with a name, what does it mean to a consumer is something which will help the entrepreneur to look at it. Then the channel of distribution, whether it's a direct to consumer, whether it's through marketplace, whether it's through physical retail store, whether it is through modern trade, or whether it is through general trade. So this product or this brand will appeal to which channel of distribution, and how should you go about it. Then is the whole understanding of the consumers, which kind of consumers you are catering to. India one, how do you cohort that customer group, and how do you talk to them. And fourth is the content which you help them work on. I think this is a new age thing, content, which I am also learning, that how content, most of the content are fleeting, they are used not for many days. We were used to content which was very different. So it's a new world, fleeting content, short reels, short videos. So it's a journey which is happening, and we are learning.
So there used to be a time when the entrepreneurs, the founders were like very close. Their business used to be very close to their hearts. They were not ready to get a co-founder, or maybe they were ready to take loans from the banks, but not dilute their own share in the business. But new age brands are not wary of that. Do you think this is the right way of diluting your equity in the business and taking the brand ahead? And what is the right way?
I think the right way is to be successful right now. And how do you acquire X number of customers in a X period of time, and how can you make your business profitable in X number of months? I think that's the game now. Equity matters because the success rate has to be very high. Today, if you look at the D2C brands or the new brands,
Yeah.
the success rate is not as high. And if you get a lot of things right, you will be successful. So today, it's very important to be successful, and you have to be successful in a particular time frame. You don't get too much of time to be successful, and you don't get too much of money to be successful. So I think you have to balance this both and reach your optimum. I think optimization, within X number of months, you have to become profitable. Within X number of months, you have to acquire so many customers.
It's a competition, it's a race.
It's a race, and whoever is the best, whoever performs the best in all the four parameters which I talked about is successful.
Okay. So when we talk about the disrupting categories going ahead, I mean, there used to be like skincare, I mean, a particular FMCG, and now within beauty also, when we talk about, a lot of categories has come into the foray. When we talk about FMCG, a lot of categories have come into the foray. Do you think niche categories can help them, big businesses and sustainable businesses? Or do you think a plethora of categories within the same one umbrella category is going to help them?
I think it's all about how do you enter the business. You find a niche and enter a market. So let's suppose you found a certain niche in skincare and you entered the market. But that will allow you now to get into other categories also. But to find a way out to enter in, you have to find a niche. You can't go head on to a very established player and try to beat them. But you can go through a niche, establish yourself as a brand, and to that consumer sell all other products. And that's what people have been doing.
So where do you think the D2C players or the new age brands have excelled in connecting with the consumers, where the legacy brands are still trying to do that?
We are seeing a lot of players who have found a niche and then getting into the mainstream. Mamaearth has been one example, and there are many examples which are now emerging on that front.
So do you think India has the capability to build more such brands going ahead?
I think it will be a journey because the markets are expanding. If you look at the beauty market, People say it's more than $20 billion market. So the opportunity lies for so many brands to come.
Which are the categories that we can see emerging going ahead?
I think all the categories, we are seeing leisure, lifestyle are new categories which are emerging. People are spending a lot of money on that. People are spending a lot of money on wellness as a category. People are spending beauty as a category, continues to grow. Clothing has seen substantial change in the way people consume clothes. So everything is happening, I would say, at the same time. India has become a very interesting market.
So when you say people have changed the way they consume clothes, I want to understand one thing from you, that on one hand, we talk about sustainability. On the other hand, we have fast fashion brands which are emerging here in India. So how the balance is going to be like in the future?
But sustainability is somebody who has achieved nirvana or self-actualization. I think that people get into sustainability and all other things. But a lot of India, I think India is a huge population. Everybody is not working for sustainability. There are customers who are believing that it's a new trend. A lot of people who have evolved in life have understood the meaning of sustainability and want to pursue that. They want to give a better planet to the next generation. So there are all kinds of people. But India is still, like I said earlier, I think 30 years ago, the clothing industry was very different. People used to buy clothes 2-3 times a year. Now things are so different that we have just discovered there are new businesses getting formed. There are a lot of successes of the value brand. There is a lot of fast fashion coming into India. People are wearing clothes because, look, imagine Insta. Once you have shot yourself on an Insta with a particular cloth, you don't want to shoot your another Insta image in that. So you can't afford it. So the price points come down. So we see new emergence of price points. Like in shirts today, for a men's shirt, $499 has been the sweetest spot. People don't want to spend money because they don't want to use it more often. So the quality, the fabric, everything has evolved and everything has changed. So it's a big structural shift in the fashion industry, wherein premium brands are doing very well and the entry price point brands are doing well, and the middle brands which were there in the middle are reorganizing themselves to be part of either the top or either the bottom part of the business.
So we've talked about the apparel segment, we've talked about the skincare segment, beauty segment. How is the FMCG segment shaping up, and what is going to change in the FMCG going ahead?
I think FMCG segment is going through an interestingly structural change with the 10-minute delivery model. So when we came into modern retail, we brought in the bigger packs.
Yeah.
And today the quick commerce is bringing in the emergence of smaller packs because people, while cooking, are ordering and wanting to consume that much only. So I think the pack sizes are changing. New categories are emerging in the FMCG space for quick commerce as a model. Quick commerce, I am seeing interesting growth, that it has already become a 35,000 crore industry in the shortest period of time. And we see that growing. And we see that changing a lot of trends and emergence of new categories because of that.
Okay, so it is giving birth to new categories also. That
yes, I think modern trade created a lot of new products, new categories, new pack sizes. Quick commerce is doing that at the same time, I think. So we have seen both sides.
Which is the better side for consumers?
I think when we were in physical retail, the bigger pack size made a lot of sense because we wanted consumers to buy and not let them come again. Now consumers are getting everything at home. So if you ask me today, I think the smaller size packs are much better than the bigger size packs.
There used to be a time when FMCG brands would think about smaller packs for the maybe tier 2 and beyond markets and bigger packs for tier 1 and metro cities. But it's not the case right now.
Things are evolving. Bigger pack sizes they lost the meaning what it had earlier. I think we had built the 26th January sale and the 15th August sale based on the bigger packs, the pack sizes, bundling of things. And now we see the quick commerce is unbundling exactly what we did.
Okay. So, sir, when we talk about technology, different sectors, we have talked about the retail, how it is evolving, new age brands taking up the arena in the mall space also now. They are going omni-channel. What else is going to happen in retail from 10 years from now?
I think one can't predict, but I would say hyper-personalization is a theme which will emerge. And the theme is, how do you hyper-personalize a person's need and make it exclusively for him is something which will emerge in some sense. But that's for the higher end of the market. And I think price points will evolve, experiences will evolve. I look at a new area wherein we see a new model of business emerging out of content to commerce. How can you build a model on content, building your own content and selling it there and then?
Okay.
So that's something which India will work upon and something will come about. Yeah.
So new terms came. I mean, first it was offline business, then online, omni-channel, phygital, and now we are moving to content to commerce.
I think words will keep on emerging. Ultimately, it's all about consumption. It's all about products. The form of delivery changes, the pack size changes, the price point keeps on emerging. But ultimately, it's a consumer and it's a product.
So, do you think at some certain point of time there were supply chain and logistics issues also, which actually barred the brands to reach the consumers the way they are reaching today? And now the consumers are getting everything because supply chain is sorted in a way, logistics are sorted in a way, things are handy and available to them.
But things have changed a lot since the consumption era started. I think India has built great infrastructure, highways, supply chain companies have come about. Technology has played a big role in building predictive engines. So we are becoming more and more efficient now.
The retail is not going to die here in India for sure.
Consumption is always going to be there till the time human race is. I think human race is all about imagination and consuming more than the previous generation. I think we are a while away from consuming less.
The story is going to be very bright here in India then.
India is definitely, we are nearly 18% of the world's population. So we have to, that is the consumption lying here.
Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure talking to you. Understand how consumption story, consumers, brands, and everything is evolving here in India, and India has a huge potential to go ahead. But before we close it, there are certain rapid fire questions which I'll ask from you, and I'll not give you time to think about it. One book which we have read, business book, and what have you learned from that?
0 to 1. Peter Thiel about the new age business and digital business.
One brand or retailer that you admire a lot?
Lately, I've been following a retailer in LA called Everwon. That's a high-end gourmet grocery store.
Okay. Everybody knows you are a retail tycoon, but I want people to understand, what do you do in your free time?
I read, I listen, and I'm with people.
What do you do with people? Read, listen, what?
I think today for me is we are at an age where we want to be relevant to the younger generation. So we have to catch up with a lot of things. That's what we have to do.
So you love interacting with younger generation these days.
We have to be doing everything what they are doing so that you are relevant to them.
Okay. So, sir, you're talking about younger generation. Where do you shop from? Online, influenced by them?
I've never shopped online.
Never shopped online?
I've never shopped online.
Always an offline consumer?
I'm a very small consumer, I would say. No.
Okay. One piece of advice that you want to give to the new age CEOs or the founders that are building brands for tomorrow?
I think one is believing in what you are doing. Secondly is the time frame in which you operate. And thirdly is don't run for top line. Look at growth, bottom line together. And I think for me, success should not be measured alone by achieving X amount of turnover. Success should be in terms of how many customers you have influenced and how much ecosystem you have helped and how many people you have taken together in your journey.
It was a pleasure talking to you, sir, today, and we really enjoyed the conversation. I hope you also enjoyed the conversation. If yes, do share it on all your social media handles and keep following us on ET Retail. We'll be back again with second episode of season 2 next week. Till then, see you. Bye-bye.